Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you how to sew this corset top. There is another video on the cutting process and I'm going to drop it in the description box. This video is just to show you how to fix the regional boning to put the cup. I couldn't do the joining of the back with it. If you find this video helpful, please kindly give it a thumbs up. Now these are the pattern. Like I said, there is another video on the cutting process and I'll drop it in the description box. Now I added half inch on the side and the upper part where I'll be fixing the cup. Then I added to the length about 4 inches to the length, that's plus sewing allowance. Then the back also, the point where we'll be joining, I had a seam allowance at the sides and the dart allowance I took back. Then the down part I added 4 inches. It all depends on you. If your paper is able to cut your length, that's it's okay. Then I cut the lining the same way I cut the fabric. So now I have sewn the regional boning on it. That's I press open my seam allowance and then I sewed the regional boning in the middle. Then I went up by 1.5 from the up because the length of the lining is shorter than the fabric, so that it will not show the lining on the down side. And then I went down by half 0.75 at the upper part in order for me to be able to fix the cup area and the boning will not affect it. So now I just decided to create another channel. I created another channel, a style line. Now this is the back also. I sew the back like that of the front. Okay, so there will be eyelet and a modesty panel on the back. Okay, so this is the pattern for the modesty panel. It's just to be a guide for me when I'm cutting, to know how many inches I'm cutting. The length of the modesty panel. Okay, so now to know the length, I just kept the fabric. I came down by 0.75, then I went up by 1.5. Okay, because like I said, I'm going to be dragging that point up, so I measure what is left. That will be the length that I'll be cutting for my modesty panel, but I'll be adding seam allowance to sew the up and the down to make it neat. So what I measured out, okay, is what I'll be using. So I just made do with this length because from it I'm sure I'll be able to get the seam allowance. So now what I took out is 0 point that's 2 inches for the modesty panel. So that folded edge is my starting point. Okay, now this length of the fabric will give me the length of what I need on the fabric plus sewing allowance to make the up and the down neat. So I first chalk two the 2 inches of that modesty panel plus 1 inch sewing allowance that I will use to make the edge of one part neat and the other one to fix into the back panel. Then because I want it to go inside, you will not make it exactly, you want it to cover, so you are going to tuck it in one side of the back. So I added 2 inches for that purpose so that I'll be able to tuck it in on one side of the back. Okay, so I have cut it out. Okay, so it's being unfold, I've been able to cut it as fabric and lining. Right now I'm going to be ironing gum stay on it to just add a bit firmness to it. So I'll iron the gum stay on the wrong side of the fabric. Now another thing I'm cutting out is like a piece of 1 inch wide because this has a modesty panel and I'm going to be putting an eyelet. So I need a piece to put the eyelet on, so that I'll be able to draw put the rope and without it going inside. Okay, assuming I'm not putting a modesty panel, I can just fix the eyelet directly on the fashion fabric, on the main fabric. But because there will be a modesty panel, I need this piece to fix the modesty panel on it, and to fix my highlight on this piece. So I just made it to be 1.5, so that half inch will go in as seam allowance, and then I have 1 inch for the modesty panel. You can also decide to sew a boning on it, on those two parts, that's on either the both side of it. But I just iron, I'm going to be ironing ST on it. So this is the way I'll be fixing it. The first one is I'll place this piece first on one side, and I'll place the modesty panel next to it, so that by the time I turn to the right side, the modesty panel will be on it. So this is the effect. Now this fabric, this piece will be on it, so that it is on it I'm going to be fixing the modesty panel, so that when I'm doing the rope will be on the modesty panel. Okay, so that's how it will look like. Now for the cup, to cover up the cup, the nipple to nipple of the person is 4.5. So I added 1.5 to it, that's about 6, or you can add 1.75. That the essence of that addition is to make room for the same allowance that I'll be using to join, and then enough space to cover the cup. So I just kept the fabric unbiased, on fold like this, as if I'm cutting a 360-degree flame, and then I mark that 6.5, and then I cut it at that 6.25. Now the midpoint, I folded it to get the midpoint, and then I took 0.75 on both sides of that line, and then I marked the center point also in order to form a dart. Okay, so I'll cut it out and sew. Now that 1.75 that I've added is enough to give me the allowance to sew and then to cover the cup. Now I've sewn it. Okay, now before I place it, I want to know where we fit into my dart line, that's the nipple to nipple line on this my on the blouse. The midpoint of the cup is not the mid, or is not where my dart is. So I first marked the mid, I first cut out, notch the midpoint, and then I'll now look for where the dart leg is, that's the main nipple to nipple dart leg of the fabric, and then I'll chalk the point. It's like 1 inch away from the midpoint of the cup. It's on that point I'm going to be fixing the midpoint of this fabric that I want to use to cover the cup, so that when I finish sewing, it will not look as if, I don't know what I mean, like when the dart leg is looking somewhere else, and the midpoint of this wrap up is somewhere else. So I marked the point that will be on the nipple point, on the middle nipple to nipple point on the main on the blouse, to fix this fabric on that point on the cup, so that when I fix the cup on the blouse, they are going to align together. So now that's the fabric, and I use it to pin round the cup to know what will be enough. Then I trim it off. Okay, I trim it off first before I now use it to cut other pieces. Okay, because I don't want to waste the fabric, I don't want to waste the main fabric. So I just cut off what I feel will be enough, not exactly. I added enough allowance, then I use it to cut other pieces. Okay, I use it to cut other pieces. For this, I still place another fabric, like this is the way it is. After trimming off the excess, I use it to cut others. So I did that with the other cup. I'm just showing you how I did it here now. Okay, So I just cut out the excess, all this excess. If I use the main fabric with it, it's going to waste a lot. Okay, so after getting that, I removed it and then I use it to cut others and sew. Okay, that's I kept it on it, losing it back. After I got what I needed, I loosen it back, use it to cut the main fabric and then I sew it back. Okay, but if you have enough fabric to work with, no wahala, I can just cut it um using that 360-degree method of folding that I used earlier. Okay, so but I think that this method, even though it's a long way, it will still save the fabric. So now I'm placing it around the cup and I'm pinning it down to cover that cup area well. Then I'm going to be sewing it down with the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing for the other cup too. So I'll do the same thing for the other cup, use it to cover it, and then I'll sew it around with the sewing machine. Now I've sewn it to it. If you want to design the cup area, you can do that. Initially I thought of designing it, but then I changed my mind, so I didn't design it. But you can just do that from the midpoint. You can just come down by 2 inches. Okay, see the way it will be if you decide to design it. Then you may as well design those points where you sew the boning. Okay, so now I'm going to sew the lining on the lining. I think I later used the lining to cover the cup directly. Okay, I pinned the lining on the cup directly and then I sew it to the fabric. So that is the back, and then I'll iron it. Like I said, I'm going to iron the modesty panel and these pieces with the gum stay, place them on it, sew them on those pieces. I'm going to be fixing the modesty the eyelet. So this is the cup. I've joined it. Like I said, I use the line to cover the cup before joining it to the blouse. So I'm going to pipe that place with another fabric. So this is how it looks like, and it's very beautiful. This corset here is good for a medium size or a small size but person. Don't use it for a too big a busty person, because it may expose their breast except they want it. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank